Hey, Facebook, back for part two, Mr. Norman Whiteside. So, tell me a little bit about, if you would, your music, and how you got started in music, and where you're from.
I was a little boy in 445 Westford Street, apartment L. There was this song that came on when you had transistor radios back then.
Okay.
It was to die for to find a 9-volt battery if you were in a black family, because 9-volt batteries cost a lot of money. You had a little piece of something like a wire to try to hook it up, because in the what they call the projects, most that you would have is a transistor radio and a television that kept rolling. You had to watch the television between it rolling, and you try to fix it so that this, you might get a stationary picture every once in a while, but you learn to catch it rolling. And so I heard this song called "Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley," and the song has an ironic twist and a relationship that would happen years later, but it was about a murder that happened in Dooleytown, North Carolina. But then it was the mystic chord progression and the way this twang "Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley," and I knew I wanted to do something on radio. I said, one of these days I want to do something. I want my voice to come out of this little box. And so as I listened on, my very first favorite person singing was Jackie Wilson. And when he came out with "Lonely Teardrops," he's and then followed by "That Is Why I Love You So." And then I saw him on the American Bandstand with Dick Clark, right?
Long time ago.
And then he says, when he started singing this line, he said, "And that is why I turned a back over flip." And he was an acrobat, so he would jump up in the air and do a backflip while he was singing and go right back into his dancing, right? And then, back then the guys all had the Posner do. And because everybody, had a little curly do in the front, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much like some of the guys try to emulate now to bring back the retro look, Sam Cooke wore an afro, Otis Redding wore an afro, and then it was Otis Redding. So I would sit there and I would listen to these folks. When the Beatles came out, and they called Billy Preston the fifth Beatle. Because he was the organ player for the Beatles, and so he didn't get the notoriety as the fifth Beatle. They just said that. I would mimic this thing. I knew that being a shy person, the one thing that I saw, the one people that I saw that never had to talk to girls was a musician. All you had to do was sing. They
wanted it.
And I'd be at the talent shows, little sock hop talent shows where guys would come out there, like they'd be lip syncing to the Temptations. They wouldn't even singing, but they'd be lip syncing and stepping and everything. And I see those girls falling.
Right.
So I said, wow. I'm going to have this going on because, and there are a lot of shy musicians. And music was the mask that allowed you to hide behind everything. You could sing somebody else's words and tell and actually say to this girl that you like what you couldn't say to her. So the music became a mask. And so I was always the little boy with the girls would, sent on an errand to the store, Norman, don't give me back and taste here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was an attention thing, right?
Okay.
And I was willing to do it, because it, got to the point where I got in a band with my cousins, and I was the drummer. I would be playing around the house on, like on some cardboard boxes. We couldn't, and the pie pan, aluminum pie pan was the symbol, So, my mom said, I think he wants to be a drummer. So she got me this little, believe it or not, the name of the drum set was called Norma. Norma drum set. Little red drum set, and I'd be sitting up there every day coming here to play drums. So then we had a family combo where one person played the guitar, one played the organ, and I played the drums. So one day I'm playing the drums, and
Nobody had actually taught you how to play the drum.
No. I
Okay.
listened to the lessons were expensive for everything back then. So I told my cousin, I said, "You're playing the wrong note." He says, "I'm not playing the wrong note. You don't know what the wrong note is." I said, "That is not the wrong right note that matches that song, And he says, "You don't know." He says, "Drummers are the dummies of the group.
Oh.
So you just stay over there and play the drums, and you leave all this." I said, "Hold up, what you saying?" So what I ultimately did is I said, "I'm gonna show you I can play that piano." So my aunt had the only piano in the family. These things were hot ticket items. You had one of these things in your house, you were, it's like you had kind of like a Mercedes.
Yeah. Nice.
So she had the only piano, and so what I did, they owned a landscaping company, so I agreed to work at the landscaping company from 7 o'clock in the morning to 4:30 at night, 6 days a week, so that I could use her piano from 5 to 9. And so I sit down with a tape recorder and some records, Stevie Wonder's My Sharia Moore, the flip side, I Don't Know Why I Love You, when Isaac Hayes came out with Hot Buttered Soul, Al Green's first quasi-hit Backup Train. I sit there, but the thing is, people remark on the style of playing. This finger was always getting in my way, so I tied something around my neck and held my finger up. And that's why, like, when people see me playing something, they say, "Why is a finger in the air like that, right?" And they says, because that's how I trained it to stay in the air.
So it stays that way now.
Yeah. Again, nobody taught me how to do this thing. So I did this, and I taught myself how to play this thing. And so one day my mom came over and she heard me. She says, "You've got to play that piece in church. It's called a piece called Exodus." And I went into the church, and that's when, like, she got to bragging to the aunt, says, "Yeah, dummy, huh? Yeah." I started exploring the recording thing. At that time, they had a few recording studios in Columbus, Ohio. They had Rome Studio that was right down the street from East High Street. They had McKenzie Studio that was over on Studer Avenue. They had Coronet Studio that was up on North High, right next to Graceland. And they had on a music hall that was on Oakland Park. And so I would try to ride bicycles, catch buses, get up here to see how recording studios operated, right? And I get turned away each time. Finally, Mr. Buck's mom told me up at Coronet, is on North High Street, "Well, I can help you cut a record, but it's going to cost $14. Well, I didn't have any money, so I went and got one of my mama's checks and wrote a check.
Wow.
I mean, I'm serious about this thing. And then I got, for $14, I got one acetate copy. That's it. They dipped this stuff in a solution, and that's right, the acetate copy. And then, like, put it up here, and they play your stuff, and then, like, it would record on this, and so you got a record. So I took that record up to WVKO, and Mike Reeves, who was the pastor right now at the Corinthian Baptist Church at that time, he was a disc jockey. I said, "Hey, man, play my record." He said, "Man, I can't play that thing, man." I said, "It's a good record. Play my record." He says, "I'm not going to play this thing, man." I said, "Hey, man, I just need you to play the record one time.
You want him to play that on live?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. You know, I mean, I waited all day to see the man, and you know,
Right.
he said, okay. So he tricked me. This is what he do. He said, we got a sound going down in our town by a youngster named Norm Whiteside, right? Okay. So,
Had you left?
no,
You hadn't left.
I'm sitting right there, but they
Still
got a
sitting.
way where they can play the real song to the radio listeners and have your stuff playing in the studio so you think your stuff is playing out there.
Oh.
Right. So, and then I looked, and then I noticed the light was off that says on air. Right. So I'm trying to figure out like I'm sitting up here facing trouble because like I wrote this bad check. I'm all up here out of place, all up in Graceland doing all this kind of. I'm serious about doing this thing here, and so they would not. Nobody would let me in. They say, "Boy, you can't sing. You can't. You know, you man, go find you another thing to do because." You're no good.
They said that to you with a straight face.
Straight face. You're no good. You're never going to do anything with this, so just leave it alone. And so I went, and Bill Moss in 1971 had started his Capsule recording label and was down there at the, had his big talent show hunt down in the Palace Theater. So I said, I got to get down here and like saved up my little money. Got my little ticket, got my little walking suit from Lee's, and went up in there. And so I was watching the Captivators. In fact, Glenn Dunlap went on to be Latif Shadi of the group. I started to say it, the Platters.
Platters.
He became the lead singer of the Platters. Right? Yes, yes, he is. You know, you might see him on Facebook sometimes with Latif Shadi, and he was formerly Glenn Dunlap, right here out of Columbus, Ohio, turned out to be lead singer of the Platters. I'm out here saying, man, I want to be like them guys, the Captivators. So Bill Moss got his studio up on North High Street, right behind Dan's Music Store, just about a block north of East North Broadway. I found out where it was, and it was in the back, you know, so I went there to beat on the door. I heard him in there recording, and 4 minutes, Johnson Hawkins, State Madura, Marion Black. I want to get in here. This is where it's going on.
Right.
And so Jeffrey Vernon Smith, the chief writer, finally came to the door and says, what do you want? I said, I want to get in there. He says, for what? I said, I want to record. I want you to listen to my music. He says, I'm sorry, man. I said, hey, we got all the, I said, come on, man, just let me come in and just watch.
Right.
And they said, no. So I went and I got a sleeping bag, and I came back up there, you know, next time to record, and I stayed outside, and I just stayed in front of the door until Bill Moss comes. And let the little fella, let him in, right? Outside. That's how I became.
How long before they saw you out there in the sleeping bag?
I was out there a couple of hours because they had to, you know, I knew that embarrassment. I knew it would embarrass them,
Right.
for me to be out there like that, right? I mean, because it wasn't a thing about homeless people in Columbus City, right? Like this or others. So they let me in, and so he said, well, "Let me see what you got, youngster." You know, Bill had a little deep voice. So I got on the piano and started playing. Right, Dean Francis started laughing. And like I'm looking around there, and so. And so he said, boy, I'm going to just let you hang around for a while. You know you can't sing, don't you? He said, you know you can't sing. I said, I can sing. No, boy, you can't sing. He said, and you can barely play the piano. He said, well, I'm going to let you stay around. And just pause, because I can't have you sitting out there with the bag in front of the door.
Right.
So,
none of that shattered your confidence.
No, every day I run up there and I watch him. And I started watching the 4 minutes record, like Row Your Boat. Johnson Hawkins and Tatum had released You Can't Blame Me. Marion Black had released the first Capsule hit called Go On Fool. So I'm saying, okay, I'm going to give him the first, you know. And so it would be months later that he would finally let me work with one of his acts called the Cool Blues. So I wrote the song "I'm Gonna Keep on Loving You" that ultimately ended up in an episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Really?
Yes, and then the City National Bank then they wanted Bill to fail, so they did not give him all the money they had promised him because his company was starting to grow. They knew if they did not give him the money for a distribution, that he would have to, because they didn't expect him to go far. And now that he was having, then the bigger companies were upset because we're not going to let this local company come up here and be another Motown.
Right.
So they cut his funding. And so he ultimately had to close down. But by this time, I got enough knowledge to say, okay, all I got to do is find a recording studio, and I'm going to record me. I went down to the Broad Street, where at that time they had the Christopher Inn, and next to the Christopher Inn there was a bowling alley. And I went in there, and there was this group in there, a trio called We. J.J. Thomas and Joe King and Benny. Well, I can't remember. I can't believe I can't call out Benji's name. Benji Harris. And so I said, hey, I'd like for y'all to record with me. And so, long story short, JJ couldn't play the bass like I wanted him to. And I went up to, I asked Jackie Hogue, who had released a song or an album called Timeless Legend. I said, where y'all do y'all's recording at? He did not want me to copy his recording style and let me know that he had gone to King's Mill record. So he directed me over to our recording and said, this is where we recorded at. So I bought it. I went over there to our recording. And when I was in our recording, I met these folks. They were like hippie-like. And went in there, gave them my $75 for the 3 hours recording. By the time I finished, the leader of the group, Thomas Murphy, said, look, hey, dude, like, how about we don't take your money? How about you just come up here and record like you want to, and you just let us just produce you. So there was, believe it or not, no contracts, no papers, no writing,
Nothing.
ever, nothing. So I said, come fine.
Big change from the two previous times.
It changed because here are these white guys. These they loved what I was doing. I mean, they weren't telling me I was bad. It was they say you sound like a cross between Sly Stone and Stevie Wonder, and you got a unique sound. Fast forward, ended up recording the "You Can Fly on My Airplane" album, and then they said it was too futuristic. They said, Norm, all your music futuristic. They said they won't be listening for this for 30 years down the road. And it was 30-something years later that Kanye West, Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Maybach, Logic, Frank Ocean all started using my music. And while I was in the joint.
While
and
you
so,
were incarcerated.
While I was incarcerated. And it was because Kanye West got my stuff nominated for 2 Grammy Awards. And it came out on November the 19th, my deceased son's birthday, 2013. It debuted on Ellen DeGeneres show. I says, right, I'm in here in prison listening to my stuff on the Ellen DeGeneres show, right? I'm listening to Uncle Charlie Wilson sing my stuff and John Legend sing my stuff. And I was there, whoa. Right? And so, and if you look at the credits on Wikipedia for Bound 2, you'll see my name right there with Kanye West, John Legend, Uncle Charlie Wilson, and Bobby Mass, and a lot of other folks. And so that became
That is an amazing story.
This thing got attention to my legal efforts, and therefore, this is going back to what they say about if God can use that dumbass to talk to us, he used everything that I had done 30 years earlier as a catalyst for me to finally get people attention in the Rolling Stone, Entertainment Weekly, Columbus Monthly. David Ghost is a writer. He was they started promoting and right there while I was still in prison. Next thing you know, I had I was in my legal efforts where they were starting to flourish, and then finally on my birthday, this was unheard of. My birthday, 2016, the parole board granted me a projected release of September 1st, 2016. And so people who had bet that, oh, he's going to be back in his old age, he's going to do this stuff, they could not believe that I'd come out here, hit the ground running, doing everything. I had a concert the first 3 months I was out. And after that, the following year, I got with the William Brady Charitable Organization with the homeless effort. And I've been doing that. Then Karen Carlisle of the William Brady, the executive director, she said she wanted me to start preaching at this church. She said she likes the way that I talk. She says, so I said, I'd be glad. So I started out Wednesday night over at Path Ministries just preaching. Reverend Pastor Johnny Griffin, he stepped out of the way. He said, I'm going to let you preach, son. He would bring some of his ministers' friends to come in here and listen to me. And it was saying, man, that is good word. We don't get preaching like this. Well, some weeks later, after they accepted my form of Bible study, I'm talking about older ministers who cut all that stoic, cantankerous way of thinking and says, this young man is right. Mm-hmm. That's when some of the parishioners says, we want to be a part of what your church is. So Johnny Griffin ordained me through the Path Ministries, and last March the 6th of 2018, I became a licensed minister in the state of Ohio.
Wow, congratulations. And all that is an amazing story, but the journey, you had no idea that when they told you that your music was too futuristic.
I had no idea that this boy, Thomas Murphy, was carrying my music around in his box for 30 years trying to promote me. He finally got
He never gave up.
He never gave up. He got with some guys, Numero Group in Chicago, Rob Severe, who called me, who wrote to me. I got his letter in April of 2008. I was in the hole, and I thought it was a joke. 2008, April, yeah. Right? He said, oh, wow, they messing with me. He said, we found your music and we would like to re-release it. Inside of 9 months, the R&B Music Hall of Fame had nominated for the 1977 Album Gem of the Year. By the time that Kanye West got a hold of it, people in his camp, Jay-Z had already used it with his folks at J Electronica. And they said, well,
you're still in prison.
I'm still in prison. And so there was not ever a contract. They said, well, how you just going to trust these guys with your music? What about the money? I says, this reminds me of the Bible lesson about the light with the lampshade on it. If there's a lampshade on the light, nobody ever sees it. If these boys hadn't come along and wanted to revive it, it wouldn't have been out there no way. Yeah. So
it was never a trust issue.
So I mean, here you got these guys who are spending all their money, all their efforts,
and their time,
all this. I said, and I'm not one of those kind of folks. I'm like this Chewy. If we make an agreement, Norm, I'm gonna give you $400 for this. If you make $5 million, all I'm gonna look for is my $400. If you want to throw some extra in, that's fine. Right. But we're going to honor the agreement.
Yeah, that's real.
And so these boys they've been all right by me all this time. Everything they said he was going to do, Rob Severe and his buddy Kenny and the whole crew. Some of these guys they were on Duran Jones and the crew. It was on Jimmy Kimmel the other night. They
I
actually
saw that on Facebook.
They backed me up over here at the Ace of Cups.
Friends of yours.
Right, yes. And they operate out of the same studio over in Chicago, and all these guys say Norm, 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 Norm. And I'm saying, how did I get all of this love? And it came as a matter of the trust factor to say, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have it anyway. So whatever you want to do my way is fine.
Right.
And so because I asked for a little, I got a lot.
You got a lot.
You see.
Yeah.
So and that was the beauty in all of that. And so now I'm a product of all of the kick to the side. And like you said, my confidence kept saying no. You're not gonna tell me no. Even when I went to prison, that was because I was initially I had saved all this money and put it in the City National Bank, and at that time the computers were still young, and they lost the group's money in the computer era, and I was supposed to go on a tour with Wild Cherry,
Okay.
and so because they derailed that, and I went to the attorney and said, "Hey, look." They messed up my dream. I want to sue them. They said, you can't sue the king. I said, what do you mean you can't sue the king? He said, they got too much money, too much power, you'll never win, so I'm not taking the case. So I could not get an attorney to take the case. And being young, hot-headed, vindictive, this is when I developed one of the biggest and most elaborate forgery schemes in the world, and ended up having like hundreds of people working for me, making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I developed and organized an underground airline where I was flying people all over the world for 20% of the normal cost, with some of the most expensive tickets being the Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and guaranteeing them they can get on the plane and get off and never have to worry about anything. And then that's when I became the criminal. I said, well, this bank lost my money, so I mean, like,
Right.
And as far as I'm concerned, I was getting, and then I had officers all over the city of Columbus in 5 different states trying to figure out who was this guy, and it tickled me when they finally found me. That's because of my December the 19th Jackie Grant.
Yeah.
She called herself going to do something outside of the rim. They didn't know anything about me. She said, Norman told him I can do that. I can do that too. Right?
Mm.
And so she went and did that. And so she put herself in a position where now I have to come and get her out of jail. And that's when they discovered who I am. Because otherwise they had me profiled as a 45-year-old white man.
Oh, how did they blow that?
Yeah, and so when they found out, they said, "Whoa!" As a matter of fact,
45-year-old white man.
You would not believe this. Justice Craig Wright, and I'm not afraid to say this either. Justice Craig Wright, when I was getting ready to go to the court, Ras Oakley, the organized crime department, says, "But Your Honor, we got to charge him with organized crime." He said, "Ras, we're not going to charge him with organized crime. No, we're not going to do that." And I said, "Oh, this is a good judge. This is a good judge here." And he said, "But Your Honor, he's doing it." He said, "Ras, in Ohio, it takes at least 5 people with the same type of conspiratorial mind to constitute organized crime. When you ever seen 5 organized niggas?" He says, "If we charge this man,"
He said that.
He said that. I said, "Whoa." I said, and I'm they took him off the case, and I ended up with Judge Flowers. And as a result of me being not as, I wasn't as knowledgeable about the law then, I fell for the okie doke. And when I went to trial, I didn't know about the decks being stacked. I didn't know all about this stuff until this 31 years that I did, where I stayed in the law library until I understood this thing. I understood the concepts. I understood why so many people were in prison who were impoverished and couldn't, take. But it wasn't until I got to prison at age 32 that I grew up. I finally understood what it meant to be responsible. I finally understood that 21 does not make you grown. I finally understood that I did not know what love was. That I never knew what love was. I thought that if you felt a special thing for somebody at a special time, that's love. Through that entire time in prison, when I remember when I had money, I had everybody in the world eating out of my hands. But as soon as I didn't have money anymore, I couldn't get a stamp.
A stamp.
And I couldn't get somebody to put a stamp on it anymore.
22 cents.
And then I started realizing, oh, it was only for what they could get from me. So then I started debriefing. I understood what indoctrination was. I understood how I said, I know how I got here. I said, and Jehovah, you let me out of here. You do what you do. Because they didn't promise me that I'm never going to leave here alive. They promised.
They told you.
They promised. They promised. They said, don't worry about him. He would die in prison. Well, I did die in prison, but it was only for 4 minutes, and it was on June the 10th, 2012, being a diabetic, went to a diabetic coma. I was weighing like 285 pounds and drinking all the sugar and I wasn't exercising or anything else. And then they told me I'd be on insulin for the rest of my life. Well, after I started working out, changed my diet, everything, my pancreas kicked back in by the grace of God, and I was, like I said, Jehovah Rafika, the healer, came, and the next thing you know, they said, this is miraculous. This is more like, like his. So not only did I come back out of that, they said it was about 4 minutes sleep. They was about to pull the sheet on me, and then after that, everything else from this, and then here, I'm out here now to show that Jehovah is the truth teller and everybody else. And I didn't promise that I would serve him. I knew it was just something I wanted to do. You know how some people, Brian, I promise. I don't do that. I won't make promises. You can't. You can't guarantee you keep. If I tell you, Julia, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. If I die tomorrow, I went to death without keeping that promise. So I'm gonna say, look, man, I'm gonna do the best I can to do this for you. I'm not. But then that's what I am. That's what I do. That's how we got here with the music. That's what music has done for me. That's why I am who I am, where I am, why I am at this point in time.
That is an amazing story, brother, and we appreciate you.
I hope I didn't bore y'all.
No, that is an awesome story and a great testimony. Being healed.
Amen. I mean, because I had a heart attack, and I've got 2 stents in my heart. I had a stroke in '98, had a heart attack in 2007.
You've overcome so much. And
31 years in prison. And even when I had the stroke, they said, like, he's going to lose all your memory. Me, I got sharper.
You got sharp.
I know. Hey, I ain't asking for no more stroke.
I'll glory to God. I mean,
I'm telling you, I understand. And that's why when I thought about there's 2 words, Jesus wept. He cried because he could not believe that the people who should have believed in him the most believed in him the least.
Believe in the least.
He said, Mary and Martha, you don't see what I did. See, he already knew that Lazarus was dead. He already knew that. He couldn't believe that when he got there, he got greeted with some activity he didn't want. And now that, I understand, unlike the bracelets, it says, what would Jesus do? Just do what Jesus did.
Just do what Jesus did. Well, thanks for coming by and sharing that amazing story. And I enjoyed having you. My wife enjoyed having you.
I enjoyed meeting you, man.
And I really did enjoy meeting you finally. I've heard so much about you. But the thing I take away from this the most is not only the amazing story of triumph and enduring hardship and tragedy, and there were so many times you could have gave up, but the confidence you had in not only yourself but faith in God. It didn't matter what anybody else told you, how many times they knocked you down.
With a praying mama now.
Right.
With a praying
and
mama.
that makes a difference. People are praying for you.
With a praying mama. Yes, sir.
It makes a difference. Just such an amazing story. And we're going to continue to follow you.
I couldn't. When I got the invite from Elizabeth for a couple of things, I'm always honored, because every time I see something about y'all, I'm always there on Facebook seeing what's going on, right? Because you got some little scroll past,
right?
And there are a few minutes, or they'll come in on the interview or something. They'll be there just so you can see their name for a few minutes, and they'll pop out like they've been there all along.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't count views.
People are people.
I don't count views. I count content, because the squeaky wheel gets the most grief, and the empty wagon makes the most noise. So
where do you get this stuff from?
I mean, that's the reality. So when it's like that, I mean, what you all are doing, the restored couple, there's more to just announcing a restored marriage. There is a thing that says we want to help. We want to help anybody who will let us help with what we've got. We ain't got a lot, but we want to give because it's in the giving,
Service of others.
That you can't beat God given.
No.
Yeah, see, because it's only when you do that.
Right.
See, and even though it's being announced on Facebook with everything, it's still something that's done in secret. What's in your heart is the part that's done in secret, even though the overt act of it. And he said, that thing that you do in secret, I will reward you. The Father who saw what you did secretly will reward you openly. So, it doesn't, I'm not amazed at the fact that, knowing what I know about Charles' background, knowing about the fact that you probably say restored couple. It's like I said about a reunion. You can't have a reunion unless you first have a union. Absolutely. And like Amos says, two walk together unless they agree. And so, you two are testimony that you agree. And like I said, if I didn't run too many of your folks away,
no, I'm pretty sure you're just so full of a wealth of knowledge, just wisdom. I'm actually blown away. If I had hair, I would say you blew my wig back, but I don't have hair.
Well, baby, all you gotta do, run down to the silence. You got this spray on.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Hey, watch this. Watch this. Zip.
No, thank you.
Zip.
None of that.
Hey, look here. I mean, but see, but they said that like the Lord made only so many perfect heads, and the rest of them he covered with hair. Okay, so.
Well, I take what I have. That's it. Facebook. Have a good evening.
Stay blessed by the
Whiteside.
best. Despite all the mess.
Love God and love people.
Even when you're hated by the rest.